Okay, so let's continue with the next video. And this video I am going to be showing you how to work out the equation of a straight line using three different methods. The first one that we're going to look at is using gradient and the y-intercept. Sorry. The equation of a straight line is given as y is equal to mx plus c. So there are two things we need to actually write the equation of a straight line. Sorry, I'll rewrite these two things needed to write the equation. And the two things are, one is the gradient and the other one is the y-intercept. So if you look at this graph which is over here, we need to work out the y-intercept over here, and that is the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is at 0, 2, and the other thing we need is the gradient. So the gradient can be worked out from this point over here, and we will just go across that direction and then go vertically up to this point over here. So we have gone across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units this way, and then 4 units up. So, and if you recall from my previous lessons about gradient, m is given as change in y divided by change in x, and that is equal to 4 units vertically and 5 units horizontally. So the gradient for this particular line is 4/5, and now we can write the equation in the form y is equal to mx plus c. So we will replace m by 4/5 because the gradient is 4/5, and the intercept is just 2. So intercept comes from here, the y value, that is the y value because that is the y cut. So the equation for that particular line is y is equal to 4/5 x plus 2. Okay, let's try another example. Here's a graph of a straight line, but this time the line is sloping in the opposite direction. So let's go and write down the equation of this line in the form y is equal to m times x plus c. So the first thing I need to work out is the gradient. The gradient is change in y divided by change in x, and change in y. So if we find the y-intercept, this is where the y-intercept is, and that is it, negative, oh my god, it is 0, minus 2. And if I go across this way, I can basically retry this. I want to basically stop at that point there and see if I can do that. Go up. So I've gone 4 units to the left, 4 in that direction. Okay, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units up. Now going to the left is negative, so I'm going to write that is negative 4, and then going vertically up is positive, which is 6. So this simplifies to negative 3 over 2. The y-intercept, as I said earlier on, is c is equal to negative 2 in this case. And so now I can put them all together and write down the equation y is equal to minus 3 over 2 x negative 2. So this is the equation of that line there. Okay, so in my second method, which I want to look at, is using the gradient and 1 point. How do I use a gradient and 1 point to figure out the equation of a straight line? And let's say the gradient is given as m is given as 3/5, and the point that line passes through, the line passes through 2, 4. So now I need to figure out how I'm going to write the equation. Now, if you remember correctly, when I was showing this in the class, I showed you this equation: y minus y1 is equal to m into x minus x1. This formula is called a point gradient formula, and you need to learn this. So the point that it passes through is 2, 4, and the gradient is 3/5. So I can substitute those points. So if I say my x1 comma y1 is equal to 2, 4, and m is equal to 3/5, then I can write the equation very, very quickly. I write it as y minus 4 is equal to 3/5 into x minus 2. So now, if you want, you can rearrange this, and you can write it in the form which is called ax plus by plus c. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply 5 times y minus 4 is equal to 3 into x minus 2. So what happens now? I expand this, and what I'll do is I'll take 5y and minus 20 on the right hand side and write this as 3x minus 6 minus 5y plus 20 is equal to 0. So now simplifying this, this will become 3x minus 5 minus 6 plus 20 is going to be plus 14 is equal to 0. So this equation is the equation of a straight line written in the form ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. So this is another way where you could write an equation of a straight line. Now, if you didn't want to write it in ax plus by plus c, you can always write it in the fraction, in the y is equal to mx plus c form. So let's just go back to this and do this again. So we had y minus 4 is equal to 3/5 into x minus 2. So what I'll do is I'll go y minus 4 is equal to 3/5 x minus 6/5. So I'm expanding the right hand side over here. And now I need to write this in the form y is equal to mx plus c. So what I'll do, I'll take this minus 4 on the right hand side by adding plus 4. So that becomes 3/5 x minus 6/5 plus 4. So you just need to be careful over here in this part over here. I'll just take that off. I'll just highlight that so that you can see what I'm talking about. That part there. So either you can use a calculator for it, or you could just do it, without the help of a calculator. That's what I normally do. So let's go and have a look at how I will do that very, very quickly. So that is going to be 3/5 x minus 6/5 plus, now this is 4 wholes, so that means that is going to be 20/5. And now I can write this as 3/5 x plus 14/5. And that is the equation of a straight line in the form y is equal to mx plus c. Okay, the third method I'm going to use is using 2 points. Now, if only 2 points are given to you, how do you go about working out the equation? So let's say a line passes through 2, 5 and 6, 10, something like that. So again, if I want to write the equation in a straight, equation in the form y is equal to mx plus c, or in the form ax plus by plus c, then I still need to know the gradient. I need to work this out, and then you either need 1 point. Sorry, I'll say this again. You just need the gradient and you need 1 point. So I can choose either that point or I can choose that point. Doesn't really matter. So the first thing I need to work out is the gradient. Now, when 2 points are given, how do you work out the gradient? And if you remember from the previous video, it is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that is the equation. So what I'll do, I will say this is my point 1, and this is my point 2. Okay, so the gradient now becomes 10 minus 5 divided by 6 minus 2. And this gives me 10 minus 5 is going to be 5, and 6 minus 2 is going to be 3. So the gradient is 5 over 3. Okay, so I found the gradient. I can choose one of the points over there and use the point gradient formula. Y minus y1 is equal to m into x minus x1. So I'll choose the first point, which is 2, 5. So y minus 5 is equal to, gradient is 5 over 3 into x minus 5. Sorry, x minus 2. So the thing. So okay, so I'll do the same thing as before. So I can go y minus 5 is equal to 5 third x minus 10 over 3. Now this minus 5 over here needs to be on the right hand side. So I can write in the form y is equal to mx plus c. Y is going to be 5 over 3x minus 10 over 3. So that minus 5 will become a plus 5 if it comes to the right hand side. So this means 5 over 3x minus 10 over 3. Now over here the denominator is 1, whereas this one is 3. So I need to change that. So everything gets multiplied by 3. So that's going to be 15 over 3. So that now becomes 5 over 3x plus 5 thirds. That's the equation.